we have that the only solution for the cities are the public transportation. Otherwise, we have thousands of cars, so it's the only sustainable transportation that is the solution of the big cities.
This is Transit Unplugged. I'm Paul Comfort. Good to be with you on another edition of the world's leading transit executive podcast, Transit Unplugged. Today we're in depth in Brazil with Tula Vandaramatos, who is president of ATP Group, CEO of VTC, and a lot of other stuff that you're going to tell us about today. Thank you so much for being our guest today on the show.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
So we are recording this live at the NTU conference in Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, where there are hundreds and hundreds of people here, of transit leaders. And I'm so excited to have you as one of our guests representing all of Brazil to our Transit Unplugged audience.
Wow.
Yeah. So great to have you with us. First off, Tula, tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, I'm about 40 years in this business. We have a family company. My father started, and he came from Greece and began buying his first bus. And till he had 30 buses, he would do all the maintenance in the night and drive in the day.
Oh, wow.
So it was a hard path, and we inherited the company. And my mother is the president that helped him in the beginning.
And you're located in Porto Alegre, which is in the southern part of Brazil, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And so did you get started in the business as a child? You brought your two grown children with you today. Are you getting them in the business?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. And did you start as a child? Did your mom and dad have you in the business?
I started with 16, and by 19, I had big responsibilities in the business.
Wow. And so what's happened since then? Tell us about where your company's grown and what you do now.
Well, at that time, nobody would think about a woman in this business. It was only men. And then I had my father that it was very ahead of his time, and my mother also. And then I was practicing medicine in the Federal University, and there was a strike, and I asked my father in the breakfast, is there anything to do in the company? And he said, talk to your uncle. And then I began, and since there, I constructed a career all in transportation. Wow.
And so tell me about your company now, your company, VTC.
Okay, it's a company. We've had 134 buses.
Okay.
And after the pandemic, we are 80% of what we had before.
Yes, that's happened to a lot of companies, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And here in Brazil, we have 5 people per bus because the transportation is much bigger than the individual transportation. So we have thousands of people that are transporting by buses.
Yes. In the south part of Brazil, you also do some other stuff. Tell us about you're part of the National Association. Tell us some of that when you do.
Well, I always thought bigger and did many graduations and also a negotiation course in Harvard. And then I had the chance to have a leadership in this field. And then I began in the consortium, that's a union of companies. I was reelected for the 3rd time to be the president of the association and the union of the companies that represent the companies with the workers.
Okay. And how many bus companies are there in your city?
11 private and 1 public.
Okay. And so for our listeners around the world, in Brazil, public transportation is not normally run by the government. It's normally run by private companies, right?
Yes.
But regulated by the government.
Yes. Perfect.
And so in your state, or in your city of Porto Alegre, there's 11 companies in the city, and they have a union or association, and you're the president of it.
Yes, and there are not anymore public companies, and this one is the last one, and is going to be privatized this year.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, so who runs it now? The city? The city government runs that one company?
Yes.
And they're going to privatize it? They're going to outsource it?
Yes, because the costs are 40% more than the private ones.
Is that right?
Yes.
40% savings if you have a private company run it.
Yes.
And the quality is still just as good or better, right? The safety, the on-time performance.
Yes. The private are more competent in this field.
Right. So let's talk about your association, your union a little bit. So there's 11 companies, and how does it work? Does like the presidents or the CEOs all meet on a monthly basis and talk about what's happening and vote on things? Or I'm not really familiar with it. So to explain to me how the association works.
Sure.
Yeah.
We have a board council. I'm the president, and one of each region of the city, because we are in consortiums. And then with the pandemic, we had lots of decisions to do to survive. And then we are meeting regularly once a week.
Once a week? Wow.
And then I maintain them informed about everything that's happening. And so our decision is very fast, and we are all in the same page. And then we do these meetings online. And also the technician, the transportation engineers meet twice a week with the ticketing technicians. And then we have all the strategy of the sector in this association.
Okay. Do you have, when you say ticketing, if somebody buys a ticket, can they use it for all your bus companies? Or is it individual just for your company? I got to buy another one for the other company.
It's for the whole city, and there is integration also.
That's good.
And so if you get 2 buses or more, you have you pay less price.
Do you all buy other things together, like fuel or insurance? Do you combine and integrate those, or does everybody buy their own fuel, their own insurance?
Basically, what's inside the company is ruled for the company, and what is outside, we control. And so we do all the deals with the public administration.
Oh, with the government.
Yes.
Let me ask you one more question about your association, your union of company. Is there a national union of all these cities? Tell me about that.
Yes, and there is where we are here.
Oh, okay. That's what this is all about.
Is all about.
This conference. What, NTU is the National Transportation of Unions?
Yes.
Oh.
So NTU once a year do a big fair, and with all the
unions, the companies,
the Congress that I told you.
Oh, yes.
And then this association, National Association, have a very important paper in our system. And they do the relation with the national senator.
The government.
All the government.
Yes.
Yes.
So this big NTU, your big association, they work closely with the national government?
Sure.
Yeah, and that's why you got the Speaker of the House of Representatives to come in and speak here.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's great. And you work with the president and all those people, too, to try to make sure that they're supporting public transportation. So how do you make money as an operator? Just from the fare box? Maybe some advertising?
No, we have a fare, but now after the pandemic and the people, the clients were less, because of the pandemic time.
Right.
And then we are migrating for a kilometer cost. We are going to be paid by kilometer.
By the government?
Yes. And then now we have subsidy.
For the first time since the pandemic?
In Porto Alegre, yes.
Yes. Is the city doing it? Is the city subsidizing?
Yes, yes. The public transportation, the urban, is the responsibility of the city hall.
Okay, very good. What about the national government? I understand that at this conference, the Speaker of the Assembly came and said they're going to try to put some money in from the federal government?
Yes, began in last year. Here, the elder people above 60, they have the right to go to the buses without paying.
Right.
This is in our constitution. And then now they are taking this responsibility and paying for the elder people.
Okay.
So it's the first time that our federal government helping the cities, because the cost now is too high. Now that we have the apps of mobility,
right,
like Uber, and then there are less people taking the bus. These companies are family companies and began with the fathers or the grandfathers. We just do transportation, public transportation.
Yes.
Is our life mission.
Gotcha. That's
yes,
good.
So we are not investors. And then
that's good.
we have public transportation in our veins.
Where do you see public transportation going? Do you think you're going to be able to pick back up the ridership from the pre-pandemic? Or you said are you about 80% of what you were before the pandemic?
Yes, many things happened, and also the online is a reality, much bigger than was before.
Yes.
And then for the other side, we have that the only solution for the cities are the public transportation. Otherwise, we'll have thousands of cars in the middle of
right,
a peak traffic.
Right.
So it's the only sustainable transportation that is the solution of the big cities. Metro, trains, and buses. We have a very interesting system that is well known in all the world.
Okay.
And we have technology that we developed with rapid lines just for buses, and this Brazilian technology, and we call BRT.
BRT, yeah. Tell me more about that, because we don't have a lot of that in America. We need to learn from you in Latin America how to do that right.
Yes, it's like the express lines for cars.
Yes,
in the United
you have your own
States.
lane, right?
Yes, we have for the buses, and it's a closed system that the passengers go through and go to the bus station, and they have a very large buses with a high capacity, and then they are in an exclusive line, and then the cars are all stopped in a big traffic, and the bus is just flying. So by this system, we can have 40 kilometers per hour, the bus is circulating.
Oh, they can go very fast when the traffic.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was in, I'm headed tomorrow, and I was already in for a little bit, down to another big city here in the country. And a friend of mine told me it was 2 hours in the traffic, getting from the airport to his hotel. Jaime told me that. But you're saying that when you ride the BRT, you can go right past all that traffic, right?
Yes, it's very interesting to see.
And you have that in most cities here in Brazil?
Sure,
yeah.
Sure. All the big cities have this system, and it works very well. And the passenger, the clients love, because they are not under the earth, and they can see all the city. And the buses have large windows.
Oh, yeah.
And they are a priority. So the people that go with buses can go faster, and they have priority because there are more people using the system than in the cars.
Really? More people ride public transit than are in the cars in your cities?
Yes.
That's amazing.
And we use less space in the streets and avenues.
Right. There's more lanes for the cars, but you've got more people actually riding transit.
Yes. So we see that in America, New York was the first to plan the city in this way, and now we have a better city for the people.
That's wonderful. Yeah, BRT. And they do that in a lot of Latin America. I know in Colombia, they use BRT a lot. It makes sense, doesn't it? You don't have to pay for the heavy rail, but you've got buses coming every few minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The city is more friendly and more sustainable using the system. And even in U.S., in other cities, is the way they are thinking to solve the problems.
So do you work with the government a lot? You, since you're the president? And so do you have a mayor there? Do you work with the mayor of your city, city hall?
Yes, a lot.
And is it a good relationship?
You know, all the beginnings with a new mayor is a kind of traumatic because they don't know the business and they have a hard time to understand. And also that now the city hall needs to subsidize. We have some, the first year is more complicated, but after they understand, we have a nice relationship and they are very happy with the quality of our service. And the population in the search they make give a good note for us.
How do you all decide on who gets which routes? So, you have all these different companies and you have all these routes. Is it just historical, whoever had them keeps them, or do you bid on routes, or how does that work?
Okay, there was a time that we took a picture of what size each one had in the whole city, and then we are not about the lines that we transport. We are about the percentage that of kilometers that we ride. And then we did, it's much easier to make a good planning of the lines if we are in this system.
I gotcha. So what, you work with Julian and the folks at Hitachi. What do you do with them? What did they provide for you?
When we choose Hitachi, because they are ahead in technology in our country. In Porto Alegre, you call GPS system. And then there is an app, and the people can say where they go, and then indicates with buses and station they should take to get there. And then we have another one that they go to the bus station and they know for fact and works very nice in what minute his bus is going to pass.
And that's the Hitachi technology does that?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
We have a big support and we work together and we develop together and they're very open for the suggestions. And so we are very happy with the partnership.
Where do you see public transportation going in the future? Let's say in the next 5 years. Is there any new innovations that you'll be doing?
Yes. The technology is a big alliance for the public transportation and allow us to do everything better and to do better for our clients. And so in Porto Alegre, we are just about to improve. And in the next year, who wants to ride a bus, he's going to enter in the local system that's called Tree. And then he have all the options he needs. If he wants to buy one ticket, if he wants the card, we are going to provide to the address that they want. And there they have the lines, the programmation of the lines. If they forget something in the bus, and the real-time information, we'll have all in the same app.
Yes, very good. Well, thank you, Tula, for being our guest today on Transit Unplugged. I think you shed a great light on all the good things happening here in Brazil and in your particular area down there in Porto Alegre in the south of Brazil. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Paul. I learned a lot of you also.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elea, Carey, a communications consultant who loves working with public transit agencies. Today, I'm continuing our short series about the communications tactics you have at your disposal and that you don't pay for. Last time we covered website basics, so now let's turn to newsletters. You very likely got an emailed newsletter. Most transit organizations have newsletters they send out monthly or quarterly. But did you ever wonder if you were getting as many newsletter readers as you could? How can you optimize your newsletter to get the maximum number of people to open it? Let's start with the low-hanging fruit, your mailing list. Are you sure you have a clean and accurate list that really consists of people who want your news? Clean your mailing list once a year. Look for email addresses that regularly bounce or those that mark your email as spam and remove them from your list. Then look at open rates and consider moving the people who don't open your mail often to another list where you might offer them an incentive to open your newsletter or experiment with something like subject lines. And about those subject lines, the content key to getting people to click open on an email is to make it appealing in the subject line. Keep your subject line short. Consider posing questions that make readers curious about what's inside, and don't be afraid to throw in the occasional emoji to make your subject line stand out. Finally, reward the people who open your email with interesting, well-written, and well-laid-out content. Your sentences should be short and intriguing, and written content should be separated by lots of white space and images. When possible and relevant, link to your blog, which, as it happens, is the topic of next time's segment. If you'd like to talk more about making readers love your email newsletter or anything else related to communications and public transit, look me up on LinkedIn. My first name is spelled Elea, last name Carey.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Transit Unplugged with our special guest, Tula Vandaramatos. Now, coming up next week, we have a really special reunion episode. Paul is chatting with three of his former colleagues from Yellow Transportation, Peggy Mayer, John Duncan, and Jeff Barnett. Now, Yellow Transportation eventually would become Transdev, now the world's largest contract transit operator. Join Paul and his friends for reminiscing and stories about how Yellow Transportation became the company that it is, and how these people influenced each other's careers throughout their lives. If you have a question, comment, or would like to be a guest on the show, feel free to email us at info@transitunplugged.com. While you're listening, do us a favor. Please rate and review Transit Unplugged in your favorite podcast app. Leaving a rating or a review helps other people find Transit Unplugged and become part of our transit evangelist community. Transit Unplugged is brought to you by Modaxo. At Modaxo, we're passionate about moving the world's people. And at Transit Unplugged, we're passionate about telling those stories. So until next week, ride safe and ride happy.